address, questions@wildearth.tv, or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Okay, let's come. I'm going to go have a quick look up to the Kruger boundary. But so far, unfortunately, no tracks. She does have a lot of territory inside Kruger, and that's why she doesn't get seen for a while. And let's have a quick look up and down the boundary. Unfortunately, no sign of anything here. Okay, so let's head further to the south. We're going to leave the northern area of Cheetah Plains and head down to the southeastern area. We want to keep parallel to the Kruger boundary, see if there's look at shade and hoping to see something sleeping under there. We'll take a bit Come on, cheetahs. I apologise. It seems like there was something wrong with the satellites that was not on our side up in the sky with the stream. So we're back and we're now getting closer to the southeastern corner of Cheetah Plains. There we go. Thank you to Shelley and James Richard. Inkanyeni means light. What a lovely name for a leopard. Okay, so we've now reached the southern boundary. And what is going to be here? I do. Let's have a look. We're going to head out. I can see a zebra in the distance. So at least it is an animal. Quite a few zebra by the looks of things. Okay, now once we get out into the open, I'm just checking very carefully under any little bit of shade. Although it's unlikely the cheetah are going to be in the shade at this time of the morning, they're more than likely going to be lying in the glorious sunshine. That's what I'd be doing. It is still pretty chilly. So see, I thought there were a few more zebra, but I can only see one at the moment, so let's get a bit closer to that one. And while we do that, Ellen Fowler is wondering, has there been any word of where Shadow's been hanging out? She's been hanging out to the southwest of Arathusa, in an area called Hoffman's, and you probably find she's going to be spending more time in that area due to the fact that it looks like Salahesh is pushing into her territory. And there we go. There is the zebra. That looks like a stallion. And I think he might be making his way towards the Cheetah Plains pan. Oh, there's another. Oh, you're snorting at us. Yes, they are. See? Hello, Zebs. Okay. Now, what song would a zebra listen to? Now, that is a good question.
White Stripes.
The White Stripes, yes, well done. There you go. And listen to Jack White and the White Stripes. Dum 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 dum. Now these zebra are going to be moving quite big distances from where they've been grazing to the water. They also might listen to a South African band that has got the name, I don't think I've actually really listened to them, but I just remember the name stuck with me, Zebra and Giraffe. Oh, quickly across to Jamie for some excitement.
Guys, we've just seen the most incredible sighting. It is absolutely phenomenal. While Dave and I were driving up the road, this harrier hawk, or gymnogene, shot out in front of us with this massive snake dangling from its talons. Absolutely incredible and well spotted for Dave. We've just been scouring the trees for it. And it's busy snacking on its breakfast. Now, harrier hawks, or gymnogenes, are very, very talented nest raiders. So what they do is they've got double jointed legs that they can curl into the hollows of trees and bark, and what that means is they pluck out things like baby birds and squirrels. And we've seen this one before. It's the one that hangs out around quarantine, and we've seen it catch a baby squirrel or a bush baby out of a hollow in a tree. This time he's caught a snake. Now I know that the visual is not incredible, and you can see clearly that this bird of prey is feeding off the breakfast that he's caught. It was absolutely incredible. That snake was probably about 1.5 meters, 4.5 feet long, maybe a bit less. That I might be embellishing the story ever so slightly. 1 meter. That'll be about right, Dave. 1 meter, 3 feet. Massive snake. It was so exciting because it flew right over us. Phenomenal. I'm actually going to try and go either backwards or forwards. I think forwards might work. It's a pity we don't have the camera that Brent's got. Let's go forward a little bit. I've got such a clear view from where I am. Does that change anything? No, that makes it 10 times worse, doesn't it? Back. There we go. There we go. And one of my favorite birds of prey, just because they're so different looking with their long tails and their long legs. So incredibly cool. I wonder, where's the road in relation to this tree? I wonder if going back around might not be worth it. I don't think so though. I'm not sure we're going to have a view from around the other side. And he is quite shy. Doesn't really want to be too close to us. So we'll stay with this view for now, and then we'll try and reposition, because he's got a big breakfast there in his talons. I wish we could have shown that to you, but this is still awesome. Breaking it apart with his powerful beak and then swallowing it and stripping away. Oh, there's a tough bit there. And it's amazing. This is the one bird that other birds in the region abandon all caution and all enmities. They form a truce and mob them almost constantly. I actually almost feel sorry for them because the harrier hawk doesn't even need to be foraging. It just needs to be sitting somewhere. And it's got this constant bombardment from things like drongos, and even the hornbills join in trying to chase them away. And that, of course, is because they are defending fiercely their nest sites. But since most birds are not breeding at this point, the harrier hawks have to make do with other things, like in this case a snake. And the snake we started off the morning speaking about the hibernation or the estivation of our various reptile species. That poor snake was probably holed up in the tree waiting for slightly better times before emerging, and unfortunately fell victim to this particular bird. And they are so well adapted at sticking their claws into hollows in trees. As you can imagine, the scales around their legs have to be tremendously thick in order for them to be able to do that. And obviously evolution hasn't favoured the feathering of the legs all the way down, but they do have to be protected, because we certainly wouldn't go sticking our hands without checking first into various hollows. And the harrier hawk has to be careful as well, because a venomous snake would be a dangerous find. But their legs are practically impervious to the fangs of snakes. This is so cool. You can see it pulling up parts of the snake. I know it's not the best view we've ever had, but it is fascinating to witness and watch the way that it's eating, making short work of a very solid breakfast. I completely forgot. I got distracted by our Djuma. We've got Lou suggesting that the harrier hawk would listen to, what was that again? Danger Zone. Oh, from Top Gun. Okay, I'm with you now, Lou. Brilliant. Danger Zone from Top Gun would be the soundtrack of the harrier hawk. That's what it would listen to first thing in the morning to psych itself up into a day's worth of foraging. And now I've almost got the Mission Impossible theme tune in my head as well, as it scales the different trees upside down. And they do that. They're the most incredible acrobats. They'll hang totally upside down, gripping with one foot and then sort of foraging about in whatever hollow they can find in the other. Let's try, okay, now that we've had this view, and it really isn't the best view in the world, let us try and get a little bit closer around the other side, on the other road. And while we attempt to that, Brent is at Cheetah Plains what? Let's try that again, shall we? I'm not entirely sure those were words. Cheetah Plains Pan, where some animals are coming to drink.
A very, very small herd of buffalo. I think a herd is a very strong word. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buffalo. Now, there were some lion tracks around the southern boundary, and it's possible that this herd is being chased and separated. Now you can see there's one little sub-adult there, and some of these buffalo are starting to show a drop in condition due to the drought. They actually sort of smelt the water and came galloping across towards us. So they're going to come stop for a drink now. Looks like they're having quite a tough time of it. You can see some of the hips are starting to show. And that's what's going to happen during this drought. But of course, it is a time of plenty for the predators. Sorry, someone is sitting on their game drive radio so we can hear all of what they're saying to their guests. So I'm just going to turn the radio off. You can see that female's lost a horn. Coming up over the little pan wall. The oxpeckers in tow. And they've probably walked a long way. Now, strange enough now, I wonder what type of music buffalo would listen to. I think that'd surprise us.
Buffalo Springfield.
There we go, Buffalo Springfield. Oh, it's on fire today. Oh, that's a great choice. Oh, they're very thirsty, and they've probably walked a long way. There's very little water down here in the southeast. Only Cheetah Plains pan and Coral pan and 3 in a row. There's a bull there, second from the right. There he is. And just to the right of the buffalo, if we keep moving, there's some, looks like Cape glossy starlings having a bath. If we, there we go, look at them. Oh, enjoying. Apparently Jamie has decided starlings listen to Katy Perry. I think I'm going to try to get a picture of them bathing. It's quite nice. There's one off to the right that's in the light. Now you can hear the speedy, so I can, oh, he's hopped out. I think we got him there. And the buffalo are starting to feel a little bit more comfortable with us being here. You can see they're moving a little bit further into the water. They're still very, very alert. And that's what makes me think they might have had a tough night last night, being chased around by lions. Perfectly perfect. From Los Angeles says they think buffalo would listen to I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. Probably after the night they've had. Oh, look at that, quite sweet, drinking nose to nose. So if you hear that click click, it's just me taking a few pictures. I recommend you do the same, and remember to share them with us on our Facebook page, Safari Live, or in the various viewer-run Safari Live groups, or on Twitter with the hashtag Safari Live. Now, I was hoping while we sat quietly here with the buffalo that we might hear some alarm calls, some monkeys spotting a leopard or impala snorting at a cheetah. But alas, all is quiet here on the Eastern Front. Now, they were more than likely part of a much bigger herd that have been split up while trying to keep out of the lion's jaws. I'm definitely going to backtrack where they've come from, see if we can find any more sign around that area. Oxpecker on the nose. She's trying to get rid of it. Now, Sally in Oregon is wondering, is there food close by for the buffalo so they don't have to move far? There is food, but probably not enough. They are going to have to move big distances. The areas around these water holes, the food would have been decimated by the many big herds of animals that move through this area. And as I expected, those couple of zebra we saw a bit earlier also on their way here. They just took a little bit longer than the buffalo. Okay, so we're going to sit here, wait for those zebra to get closer. While we do that, let's go back to Jamie with that harrier hawk.
As you can see, we have dramatically improved our view of the harrier hawk. We haven't really, I'm sorry. There's not really all that much that we can do to improve the visual that we have at the moment. You can see the parts of the snake as he strips away at it, or she strips away at it. It's impossible for us to tell. It's still very much enjoying the breakfast that it's caught for itself. It was such an exciting moment that Dave and I shared. We were both seriously taken by surprise, and we both, I think, had a fleeting thought as to what would have happened if the bird had dropped it into the vehicle with us. It would have been interesting. I think, yeah, it would have been an interesting way to continue our morning, and of course the poor harrier hawk would be one snake breakfast down. Oh, the magpie shrike has come in on the left. Is it going to mob it, or is it going to let it continue its feast? I don't think they're going to mob it, because they can see that it's currently occupied feeding. That's the whistling call of the magpie shrike. Is it calling for help? I don't think so. It would have been a very different story if the harrier hawk had perched in a tree where they had a nest site. I think it might just be going for a closer look. And as a meat eater itself, the shrike would actually pick up the scraps that the harrier hawk leaves behind. So it might be going closer, not to investigate for protective purposes, but perhaps for scavenging purposes. Having a really thorough meal. It was a big snake that this harrier hawk managed to collect. But certainly not the best view that we've ever had. Perhaps it might even be time for us to start moving on. Such a pity. I really wish this harrier hawk had chosen a tree slightly closer to us so that we could watch it feed. I think it is time for us to go, since at the moment we've basically got a silhouette in a tree to show you, which is not exciting, but it's definitely not the best view we've ever had. We're going to move on. I'm going to go check the Aubrey's Road den sites, just in case our hyenas have moved back. While we do that, let's go back across to, oh my goodness, back across to Brent, wait for it, at Cheetah Plains Pan.
We're still with the buffalo. Now we've got some upside down buffalo. Of course, they are not truly upside down, just their reflection in the still water. Now, it looks like the zebras are coming in from the east of us. I'm pretty sure it's the same two we saw earlier. They're being a bit circumvent about approaching while we're sitting here. So I'm going to move off and let them come have a drink, because I don't think they're going to come drink while we're here at the moment. They're just probably not too used to vehicles, and we don't want to disturb them too much, so I'm going to leave them be. And we're going to backtrack to where those buffalo have come from to see if we can find any sign of lions. Warming up slightly, you can see I've lost my gloves. It was quite nice to sit at the pan and enjoy the sunshine. Hi, James. James is in Texas. Sorry, I'm just cleaning my screen here quickly. You can't see it. There we go. Well, sort of. So James is wondering why, if buffaloes are normally in large herds, do they not work together and chase the lions off? They do sometimes, but the lions can be very persistent. And what happens is the lions will try get one individual out of the herd. Sometimes the herds might move back to defend that individual, but at the moment they're not in the best condition because of the drought. So you'll find that they are probably just trying to survive, and the amount of energy that would take would be detrimental to most of the buffalo. So they would rather move away from the lions, and the weakest ones will be caught. Now, Shamson's wondering, what is the difference between a Cape buffalo and a water buffalo? Well, the biggest main difference is water buffalo live in Asia, and obviously Cape buffalo live in Africa. Now, you have different variations on Cape buffalo or African buffalo. And you've got the savanna version, which we're looking at there. You also have a forest version. But they are able to interbreed. Also, water buffalo have been domesticated. And I would like to see the person who tries to domesticate the Cape buffalo. Of course, they're physically quite a bit bigger than water buffalo, and they live in slightly different habitats as well. Oh, there's my mate, Gnorman the Gnu. Let's get a bit closer to him. Apparently, Jamie has been having some trouble with saying Gnorman's name. Hello, Gnormus. Oh, there we go. Also enjoying the early morning light. Now, for those of you who don't know Gnormus is the dominant male on the southern section of Cheetah Plains. He's got a very distinct little scar behind his left shoulder, and that's how I know it is Gnormus and not an usurper who might have removed Gnormus from this territory. Poor old Gnorman. No ladies around today. And it doesn't look like Norman's going to be doing too much about making sure no other male wildebeest come onto his patch. And he'll lie out in the sun while it's cold and then move to the shade as it gets warmer. Might take a stroll towards Cheetah Plains. So as I said, you might make a way towards Cheetah Plains Pan for a drink. But apparently the general consensus is that wildebeest would listen to when the lion sleeps tonight. I'm not so sure. I don't know why, it's just a picture in my mind. It's possibly because I've been up to the migration and seen that massive herd of wildebeest. I, for some reason, think wildebeest would listen to the flight of the Valkyries as they charge across the open plains of the Serengeti. I don't know why that sort of image is in my mind. and almost in a comical way, because I don't think their charge would be very well coordinated. It'd be da 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 da, and they get confused and chase each other in strange directions. So Justin's wondering how Gnorman got his name. Well, I think it started off with the fact that we see him by himself so often, and he's a wildebeest, so he looks a bit funny, and then we played around with a few names, and I can't remember who it was from the viewers who eventually decided Gnorman was the name, and Brian and I liked it so much we immediately stuck it. Now just across at the Cheetah Plains Pan there's another male wildebeest, that's his territory, and he's Normal Norman. So you got Gnorman and Normal Norman, the Gnu's. Now they are arch rivals for the attentions of all the lady wildebeests of this area. Now of course the lady wildebeest will move between Gnormless and Normal, and will mate with both of them, and that's one way that wildebeest keep their genetic stock nice and strong. So I think those buffalo came from this area here, so that's why I'm going to go have a check to see if there's any sign of lions about. Now we tracked a new pride of lions, well not a new pride of lions, I think we saw two of them once in the distance a while ago on Cheetah Plains, but the other morning we had tracks of what we think to be the four-ways pride that have come up from Mala Mala, and the sticks had already been found, so we know it wasn't the sticks, and they came through this area and they crossed back to Mala Mala, actually almost right about here. So I wonder, with the drought and water being in very certain places, that those lions might move up into the into the Cheetah Plains area again. So let's go across to Jamie, who's got a wonderful, wonderful animal to show you.
I do feel as though it would be a classical music morning on this Saturday morning for our elephant herd. What do you feel, big girl? No, gorgeous. They are in a very tricky spot, so while I think about how I'm going to try and get you the best possible view, I just have to tell you a thought has struck me. I think I might get a bit of flack for this, but I'm going to tell you it anyway. I think the Birmingham boys are boy band kind of lions. I think they listen to things like One Direction and perhaps a little bit of Westlife thrown in every now and again. That would be my guess as to what the Birmingham boy... I think it's the name more than anything else, so please don't hate me too much that it's not awe-inspiring enough for our dominant male lion coalition. But I feel boy band it is. Right, Ellies. You're in a very difficult place. Oof! Little head shake there from the little one. I think this might even be the same herd that we saw yesterday drinking around the Djuma Dam pan. Not quite, I'm not 100% sure on that, but we do start to become quite acquainted with our different elephants of the area. I think what I'm going to do, because right now we're parked straight facing northeast, which is what's making life so very difficult, I'm going to go a little bit further ahead and then turn around and try and approach from a slightly different angle. I think that might help us out a little bit, because at the moment I'm blinded by the sun, and I've spoke about this yesterday afternoon. It's one thing for the camera operator who has to struggle, but it's also very difficult for us because then we can't see what's going on ahead of us, and it's prefer to be able to concentrate on what each and every Ellie's doing. Hey guys? Yes, I think this is a good call. I think we'll go do a quick turnaround and then we'll come back to them. We'll be able to see them in quite literally a far better light. Well, finding an easy spot to turn around is a different story. Here we go. I don't really feel like putting poor Wendy through too much abuse. There we go. One of the things you guys should do, maybe not, that's a terribly boring thing to ask you to do, maybe one of the things we should do while we drive is work out how many times we do a U-turn, a 3-point turn in our day-to-day on one drive. I would guess that I probably do at least 10 in one drive, which, what's that? That's 23-point turns per day. That's 140 3-point turns in 1 week, assuming I'm driving each and every day. How's that for a statistic for you? A bizarre and yet very interesting statistic. Definitely more than you should be doing in your day-to-day existence in the city. Hello, little one. I think that's going to be our best view of this little chap for now. Oh, hello, Mama. It's okay. It's alright. It's okay. You're stressed. It's okay. I'm not going to go near your baby, I promise. She's a little bit antsy. Hello, big girl. What's wrong? Would you like us out of your space? Okay, we're going. Okay, maybe she just wants that tree, but I don't feel that way. Okay. Alright, big girl. Just something funny in her body language. Perhaps she's just coming forward for the tree, but that might also be displacement behavior. See if she does feed. Alright, big girl. There you go. See? Nice and relaxed. Maybe I'm just, after my morning experience of having been charged 3 times, has played a little bit of a role in my psyche this morning, because they seem to have relaxed nicely. Hello, little monster. What have you got to say for yourself? Hi, guys. Okay, all is fine here with our elephants. She just got a little bit upset because we were quite close to her little one without her being right next to it. Look at this little one. Are you polishing your tusks for us? Oh, mouthful of dirt. That is displacement behavior. Are you cleaning your teeth? Oh. Oh, that can't be very nice. Mouthful of dirt? Ah, but that will be nice. A little shower of dust. Found the perfect hole to gather up trunks full of dirt. There's Mom. Mommy's right there. And as we watch our Ellie come right up to us, don't be full of nonsense, mister. It's just Dave. He's just dazzled by you, Dave. Gentle glance back at us before moving off. Justin wants to know about the incredible strength of an elephant's trunk. The phenomenal thing an elephant's trunk as our Ellie bull reaches up to the branches behind him. Justin, I couldn't give you an exact example of how strong they are, but I've seen bull elephants break marula branches off that are as wide as I am. Now, I'm not enormous as a human being, but that is a really solid piece of wood that an elephant can snap using their trunks. And they are their main weapon of defense. So an elephant that attacks something, if it does carry through with a charge, uses the base of its trunk, or the top of its trunk, and its forehead to attack whatever it is that it's after, as well as those piercing tusks, of course. So an elephant's trunk is unbelievably strong. Now, an elephant that weighs 4 tons That trunk itself will weigh probably close to a region of just under 100 kilograms, if not even more. And that's 200 odd pounds. And that's pure muscle. There's no bone in there. There's no fat. It is just muscle. It gives it that concertina-like action that our young bull is demonstrating for us. I can't reposition, so poor Dave has to shoot backwards over his shoulder. But our elephant bull is giving us a really lovely demonstration of the way that the trunk works. And what's so cool about that is not just the strength of it, but also the level of dexterity that they have. And trunk serves so many different purposes. Reaching up and delicately plucking leaves or picking up sticks. Hello, boy. Yes. Off he goes behind us. He stayed sort of within the region. He's just behind us. He's within the region that I don't really want to start the car, but we can have a look at the ellies on the other side of us, which will make Dave's life a little bit easier. And the trunk really is the most phenomenal thing. Delicate, capable of picking up a matchstick or a toothpick off the ground, and yet at the same time, as I said, breaking off branches from trees that are the size that I am. And I can guarantee that you would not want to get whacked by a swinging trunk. They have that amazing range of motion. There's nothing really that a trunk can't do. It can bend upwards, backwards, sideways, could wrap around one way, wrap around another way. And maybe that's why it takes little baby elephants so long to learn how to use them, because they've got the same level of dexterity that our human hands have. I'm just making sure there's no elephant sneaking up behind us. They're slowly making their way across to the other side. Hi guys. There's a little tiny baby that's about to move up beside us, so let's have a look there. Some moving across the road. Hello girl. Hey big girl. She leads her family across safely. It's okay, big girl. I see your little baby. Promise I'm not silly enough to try anything. Some gentle rumblings. She's going to stop here in front of us and keep an eye on us. They've all frozen listening to the conversation happening. Not me, girl. There we go. Feeling comfortable enough to move on. Little one. Oh, you're so cute. Oh, a parade of elephants moving across in front of us. And Norman, while we watch them go across, you were wondering about the dark stains that decorate their tusks. It's a combination of trees, dirt, this sort of natural dust covering that they get across them. It's a combination of lots of different things, because of course they use their tusks for so many different tasks, whether it's breaking off the cambium layer. Sometimes they even dig in mud with them and coat them with mud. Often bulls do that to make themselves look really big and scary. The cows don't set much store by that foolishness, but they will do it every now and again. So they naturally just become very dirty and stained as the elephant utilizes them. Oh, what's Mommy found? What's Mommy doing? I love watching baby elephants' curiosity, because as soon as Mom focuses her attention somewhere, little baby hones in to try and see what she's doing. Kind of like for those of you with children and grandchildren. Mommy, what you doing? What you doing? And all of that information stored in that powerful brain that an elephant possesses. I agree, Norman. while the adult female elephants might listen to their classical music, the baby elephants definitely do not. And I think that absolutely our baby elephants would listen to the baby elephant walk song. You can just imagine it. I've also got the Jungle Book theme, the original Jungle Book animation. The elephant song about the march. Do, 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 do. Yes, that's what baby elephants would listen to. Absolutely. Until their tastes become more sophisticated. Shame. Nothing here looks particularly appetizing. Everything is very brown, very dry. Not dead. The trees have just lost their leaves, so the trees are not all dead. And the cambium layer, as you saw with Brent, becomes very, very important, as well as their root and storage system. It does mean that the elephants really do have to work particularly hard to meet their nutritional requirements. Okay. I think we potentially have a nice view a little bit further along the road. Let's just go forward a touch. Nothing like the mood of a pleasant and peaceful elephant sighting. One thing I'm going to have to do, because this beanie is now attempting to, it really is making life very difficult, it's trying to fall off. I might have to do some readjustments. And since my microphone sits in there, it's okay, little one, it's alright. Since my microphone sits in there, you might get some funny sounds. Don't worry, it's just me adjusting my hat. Here we go, that's a bit better. I was about to go flying and take the microphone with it. Shame. Not very much to eat there, is there? Relatively tricky. Shame. I feel for the little ones. It's going to be very, very tough for them over the next few months. And we just have to really hope that we get the rainfall that we need. And hopefully it will come early. I've heard predictions that it's only going to come at the start of 2017. But ideally we need it in October, if it does happen. I think we're all hoping that that will be the case. Another big elephant. The cow walking at the back of the group. I'm just listening to Herbert on the Game Drive channel. Sorry guys, just bear with me 1 second. Oh, Herbert, I'm quite close. I'm just on Aubrey's Junction, Void Teller access. I'll come give you a hand. Where would you like me to check first? Okay, copy. Those Nkonzo were definitely not there when I drove around that junction this morning. Okay, I'm making my way there. Whee! We gotta go. Exciting stuff. Herbert has just picked up on tracks for what looks like, he says, Shadow and Cub on Djuma, on top of my tracks and on top of Herbert's tracks. So we're going to race there because we're... No, we're not. Ah, big girl. Sorry. It's alright. We're just coming past. Just coming past. Okay, that was not aggressive in any way. That was her head out ears like that. That's her saying, just, I'm watching you. It's not aggressive, it's not, I'm going to charge you, which a lot of people get frightened of when they come to visit the Kruger National Park and they see something like that. They think that the elephant is charging them. It's not. It's her saying, stop, I'm coming, I want to walk, then you can go. And that's exactly what she was telling us there. Just listening to the game drive comms. Herbert, confirm, is Shadow relaxed on foot? No. No. Shadow is relaxed on foot, but she does have a tendency, if you do find her, to come out and go brrr, and then stop and relax again. So Herbert might Herbert is making certain that he knows what he's in for if he does go tracking her. Those tracks are very fresh, guys. We've got to hurry. So we are going to go very, very quickly. And while we do, let's go back over to Brent, who has returned from Cheetah Plains.
Isn't that exciting? It sounds like Herbie's got tracks of Shadow and the cub. Now Jamie's closer. She's rushing to give Herbert a hand. We're a bit further, but we're also going to make our way into that area. Very exciting. Wouldn't it be wonderful to catch up with Shadow and cub? Ellen was asking about where she'd been. Now, from where those tracks are, Ellen, she's been further to the south in the Hoffmans. Now, this is going to be the interesting thing I was talking about on the Sunset Safari. The fact that we saw Salahash scent marking deep into what is traditionally Shadow's territory. Is Shadow going to move deeper into Karula's? And will that force Karula even further to the east? And it's going to be very interesting to find out what happens in the next month or two. Ooh, still quite chilly. Even though the sun is out and it is very bright, there are no clouds in the sky. Wouldn't it be exciting if we had a bit more of Shadow on Djuma? I think there would still be enough space for Karula, sort of in the eastern and northern sections of Djuma, that Shadow might push down towards the area around Treehouse Dam, but only time is going to tell. That's the amazing thing about being in the bush, is you literally never know what's going to turn up. So Herbie's just over there. We're probably about 1 kilometer or 2 from him at the moment. So Jamie's coming in from the north and we're coming in from the south. So hopefully between the two of us we are able to find that female leopard. And of course Herbie's right in the center on the tracks. Hi Michael. Michael's wondering, since Karula's cubs got named earlier than usual, will this happen with Shadows too? Well, Michael, I'll have to tell you after I've been to the next head rangers meeting and we discuss it. So of course those decisions are made by the head ranger group from all the different lodges, and names will be put forward. And as I said, generally they are only named at a year, and the reason for this is normally it's they have a very high mortality rate till they get a year old, about a 70% mortality rate. Oh, that's the lion going. I know Jamie saw those tracks earlier. Now the interesting thing about these tracks that Herbert has found, they're on top of him and Jamie from earlier this morning. So while they're checking on Djuma, I'm going to go out and past and on to the Triple M road, which is the western edge of Djuma, the boundary between Djuma and Arathusa. Make sure she hasn't snuck further to the west. Now that area where those tracks are going into is an area where she used to use as a den site for Sindile frequently. So maybe coming back to old habits. And there's Herbie. See if he's got an update for us. So tracks were going in here. Oh, this is not good news from where Herbie's looking. She crossed inside. Ah, so there we go. There are her tracks. Maybe she's got the Mampimpan inside the Shkova there. Yeah. So there we got. There her tracks right there that Herbie's standing next to, going that way. So we are these are very fresh. So we're going to jump on ahead and keep checking. Jamie's coming from that side, so I'll check Triple M. Herbie's thinking. What do you think, Herb? Aha. Morning, morning. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to check around. Herbie's going to keep checking here. So this is the cub and the other tracks over there. So we're going to go around and check to make sure they don't pop through to Arathusa. Okay. So Herbie's going to go follow these tracks on foot. Now, out of all the leopards we track on foot regularly, Shadow's one you could probably say is the most fun. She can be quite snarly and growly. I've actually been charged by her on foot. And it was Brian, and I'm sure a lot of you know Brian, the cameraman. We were off that afternoon and I took him tracking with me. And it was Brian's first leopard encounter on foot, and it happened to be Shadow going at us. Okay, so I'm going to keep my eyes open in here as well. So Jamie's coming in from the opposite side. We think they're in there, so let's go see what Jamie's up to. I think she's going to check that elephant path on the opposite side.
While we both have made our way to the area to make sure that we don't miss the chance of seeing Shadow and her cub, I've just been thinking, and you know, poor Shadow, she's actually got a bit of an undeserved reputation. Is that a sleeping steenbok or a steenbok kill? No, that's a sleeping steenbok. Isn't it? It moved. It's, if I go forward a bit, oh yeah, no, that's definitely a live steenbok. It's sort of, yes, well, I don't know if you can actually see it from where you are. It's in through this gap. Ooh. What trees are you looking at from your perspective?
Come out again.
Through here. So if we take the line of these bush willows, I'm not even sure, Dave, I'm sorry, I'm not even sure that I can. That's, no, that's part of elephant dung. Best view ever. Go forward a little bit. There. There you go. Here's our little sleeping steenbok. Enjoying the sun. Careful, little steenbok. Shadow is somewhere here. Enjoying some time warming up and also some time to ruminate as well. It's found itself quite a good patch. It's hidden, it's got some cover at its back, but at the same time nice and open so that it would be able to spot any kind of animals like a leopard sneaking up upon it. I'm not going to spend too long with it. I want to carry on and go a little bit further forward and just see whether or not we can't pick up on any tracks of Shadow. What I was going to say was, I was thinking about it, and I've tracked Shadow on foot quite a few times, and she's only ever once snarled at me. You know, to be fair to her, she's not that bad. It's just, I've had one experience where she's growled at me. The other times I've been right up close to her when I've first seen her, and she's just given me a casual glance over her shoulder, made sure that I was walking away, and then relaxed again. She's not that bad. This is one of her favorite spots, though. And I'm just checking some of the favorite leopard trees in this area for any sign of them. We have a really good question from Matthew, and good morning to you and welcome on our sunrise safari. What would happen if there were too many leopards in an area? Would their territories become smaller? And bear with me, I'm not going to look at you for now, I'm just making sure that I don't miss anything in terms of tracks. But the truth is, an area like this can only support so many leopards. So the leopard densities are much higher in places where there's higher populations of impala, and it is also dependent upon lion concentrations as well. Now, Matthew, chances are the territories might get smaller and smaller. They might get smaller as the leopards increased. That will then hit a point at which it cannot get any smaller because the leopards won't be able to support themselves on the food that they have acquired or are able to acquire, and the access to resources, at which point some leopards will die off or move off to a different area. Now, I'm sure Brent has touched upon this, and the fact that yesterday he saw Saleyeshe in Shadow's territory. Definitely, I mean, not on the border of Shadow's territory, in Shadow's territory, and clearly marking all of the spots that Shadow had marked. And it brings a question. Shadow's going to push further and further into her mom's territory, and the question is whether or not she will fight for her mother's territory or access, or whether Karula will defend her territory. And it will probably be a very gradual, very slow process. And that was a question that came from Jilly about whether or not Karula would defend her territory. It will be a slow process, yes. On a once-off encounter, she will growl. She'll be terribly upset with her daughter usurping her position or usurping her territory. There's a woodpecker. There was a woodpecker there, but it flew away. There's the male version of the woodpecker that Brent showed you earlier. There's a male bearded woodpecker. So if Karula might hiss and spit and get a bit cross, but it's a very gradual process. We tend to think of leopard territories as having clearly delineated boundaries, but they're very flexible, and what will happen is Shadow will just, whenever Karula's a bit further away, she'll push further in, mark territories or mark bushes that are further and further east, and it'll be a gradual process. And because Karula's getting older, I don't think she's going to put too much effort into fighting back in order to defend her territory. I think Karula's territory is just going to shrink a little bit, and in fact it already has in terms of her natural aging process. While we very slowly circle the block that Shadow loves and go and check the opposite side of things, let's find out whether or not she's crossed towards Arathusa.
Option! So we are on Herbert's request, sitting right here on the boundary between Djuma and Arathusa. And there's no sign of her crossing, so there's a very strong possibility she's still in this little drainage system here. So Herbie's just asked us to wait here to see if she pops out in this area while he's walking. So we're just going to be sitting here quietly listening. We're also listening for alarm calls of birds, of anything, really. And we're also looking for Herbie. So far, I haven't heard anything. But it's very important to be patient when looking for big cats. If you don't have patience, they will get the better of you most of the time. Now there's a possibility she might have made a kill further away from the drainage line and she's taking the cub there. I have tracked her in this area many times before. It is one of the largest areas of Djuma that does not have any roads. And that also happens to be her favorite area of Djuma. All I can hear is hornbills at the moment. Let me check with Herb, see if he's got an update for me. Now, I've also got actually, sorry, before I do that, I picked up something today that I'm about to take through to hand into the Sabi Sands. Now, it's a very, very old piece of elephant ivory. Very, very old, so when we do pick up any ivory like that, we immediately just hand it in. So there we go, very, very old. You can see it's been weathered by the sun and the elements. Now I actually think this might be so old that it is starting to fossilize. Now, I'm not sure about ivory, but I know about bones, and fossil bones in particular. So with fossil bones, if you pick up a bone, you put it on your tongue, it sticks to your tongue if it's a fossil. If it's a more recent bone, it doesn't. So when I take this and I put my tongue against it, my tongue sticks to it. So I'm thinking this could even be old enough to be a fossil. So it's going to be quite interesting. I'm going to try. I'll keep you updated on what we find out about it. We might not find out too much, but I'm about 80% sure this is actually a piece of fossilized ivory. So how old it is anyone's guess. But anyway, it is still ivory, so we still hand it in. I just saw Jamie sneaking towards us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Jamie come here and I'm going to move a little bit further up, see if there's any tracks crossing further to the west. So we're going to jump across to Jamie as she makes her way this way, and I'm going to head a bit further to the west.
I'm not going to make my way all the way to Brent. There doesn't seem to be much point. And I think with Herbert tracking on foot and with both of us lurking around here, I'm going to leave the guys to their search for shadow and go and find other things to keep you entertained while they have a look around. It's going to be another one of those termite mounds, isn't it? It just is. Definitely one of those termite mounds. Doesn't even look like a leopard now at this point. But I live in hope. Just going back a little bit. No, it's definitely just a leopard-shaped termite mound. I'm very good at finding those. I am exceptional at finding. You see what I mean, though, Dave? You do. It's not a leopard, right? No. No, it's not a leopard. It hasn't moved either. Wishful thinking. Ho-hum. Luckily, we've got... Oh, it seems as though Brent might actually move west. In that case, we're going to stick around here. And as he moves into Arathusa, we're going to stick around and just make sure that we are helping Herbert out and make sure that she doesn't disappear off. So at the moment, we're basically patrolling the boundaries to make sure that we don't miss her if she moves across. She loves this patch. She used to take Sindile into this drainage line all the time. We found her here once with a Dacre kill, right in the thick there. And we would find Sindile in this area when she was still looking after him. We would find him, I would say, once every 2 days, generally. Unless she's managed to catch something large, it would be about once every 2 days. Sarah says that Sindile, back to our music game, which has sort of occasionally fallen by the wayside here. Sarah said that perhaps Sindile might listen to Bohemian Rhapsody. I think that's a very, very good idea, except instead of Mama I just killed a man, it could be Mama I just caught a dog. And things went very pear-shaped from there for Sindile. He seems to be doing absolutely fine, by the way. I don't think any of us are all that surprised. He's just constantly on the move, just escaping wherever he can. He's got to be. He's a young male. That's what young male leopards do naturally. And for him even more so, because he has been torn from the safety of his mother's care far too early. If you don't know what we're talking about, sorry, just to clarify, Shadow's older son, they're older than the cub that she has now, Shadow's older son caught a dog that later proved to be infected with rabies. And he was put into quarantine for 8 months. He was just over a year old when it happened. He was there for 8 months, and he's released at 20 months of age with a big collar on him to help keep track of his movements, vaccinated and checked thoroughly for any sign of rabies infection, which he totally escaped. He was not rabid, and he's been released back into the area. And it's been the most fascinating story to follow, because he was reunited with his mother Shadow, but his mother Shadow had since had 2 brand new cubs. She lost one of them very sadly around the time that he was released, and she was desperately trying to keep the other away from him. And I think his instincts were very confused in that situation, because his mother's natural response would be, she was calling her cubs, and Sindile was responding. He just wasn't quite at that age where he would have been fully independent from her. She, on the other hand, was no bones about it. She was thoroughly unimpressed to see him, and made that known to everybody. And to him, most especially. There's lots of elephants in this block, hiding out in the shade. Now, just talking about the territories of the different range. Females, on the other hand, and sorry, we're doing another U-turn and we're doing another loop, just to make sure that we are checking thoroughly, because I don't think they're going to go as far up towards those elephants. Females, on the other hand, actually end up inheriting a portion of their mother's territory. Kind of. It's not that simple, but that is part of the way in which it works, which is why we've got Shadow here on the west, we've got Tundi there on the sort of southeast, and Karula in the middle. She's the mother of both of them. And James Richard was wondering whether or not, because Karula will be thinking about Shungile, her youngest female cub, and the fact that she will need a territory in the future, will that cause her to be more aggressive in defending her territory? I don't think so, to be honest, James. I don't think there's that level of analysis or even instinctive response. She'll be defensive of her territory because it's her territory, it's her instinct of that to respond to any kind of threat in that way. But no, I don't believe that she would be more so because she knows that she has a female cub to pass on the territory to. It's just why she just knows that eventually her territory is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. Shadow, cutting it down to the wire. Just listening to the Game Drive channel as well, making sure Herbert hasn't called us. Well, if we don't find her this morning, then we do have a brilliant place to start for the sunset safari this afternoon One more loop, everybody. Fingers crossed. Doesn't happen now. We'll have to wait until this afternoon to try and find her. Back once again onto Gowrie Main. And these tracks are so fresh, I'm sure she's in there somewhere. Herbert, having now been warned, is probably very cautiously making an approach. Did Brent show you these tracks? Here's her tracks. They are incredibly fresh. For them to be this clear on Gowrie Main, that is Shadow's track. Right. I have utmost faith in the wonderful Herbert. Let me put myself onto a slightly flatter ground, because at the moment we're at a very uncomfortable angle. I have utmost faith in Herbert, but we have come now to the end of our sunrise safari. So for now, a big thank you to Dave for all of his fantastic camera work as always. Dazzling Dave, as well as to the lovely ladies in Final Control, and most importantly to all of you. I'm going to say goodbye now and not keep you away from Brent and his animal for too long. Bye-bye, everybody. We'll see you later this afternoon.
Not quite Shadow and Cub, but some of Warthog. Little family, looks like a female with this year's babies and last year's baby. So female, let me try and move forward a bit. They just moved in behind that thicket. Now, taking advantage of the remaining grass on top of that termite mound, there we go. You can see the one down to the right there. That's the big mom, and then two little ones from this year, and then a slightly bigger one from last year. Hello, piggies. Now, it's not unusual for female offspring of a warthog sow to stay with mom for a couple of years, and they do form sounders, and you can often find 2 or 3 female warthog and their respective offspring together. And some parlor in the background as well. So these warthog feeding off the chloris grass that's growing on the termite mound. They are quite funny looking creatures, aren't they? Oh, down on the knees, the one in front. So, even at birth, little warthog have thickened pads on their front knees. And obviously that's adapted because they do spend a lot of time feeding like that. It enables them to get closer down to the ground, and they use that snout to even dig up the roots and little tubers under the grass. Yeah, you can see they're all spreading out now. Now they probably haven't been out of their hole for too long. Warthog are not a fan of the cold, so they only excuse me. They only come out when it gets a little bit warmer. Now I'm hoping that, as Jamie said, we have the utmost faith in Herbie to find out what happened with Shadow. So he's off in the block on foot there. Who knows, maybe she's got a kill somewhere. I think these warthog are going to slowly make their way towards Sydney's waterhole, where there is some water. Now, a song for warthog. Because they live underground, maybe deep house or underground house music. They seem like they might listen to sort of head thumping stuff with their thick skulls. And the warthog are going to move through into the guarri thickets, and we're about to say adieu for the sunrise safari. Fortunately for me, my cat streak continues with those little cubs, and I've just heard Mom's arrived and is feeding them now, so we'll definitely have a look on the sunset safari. So from Carrot and myself, toodaloo!